I'm kind of like I think people like Michael Jackson. I'm kind of a unique kind of character.
And I have
Yeah,
the
analytics
Celtics
are
play.
And I love to
You just see how games and possessions are more intense, how they mean more.
I'm not putting him on.
I think the U.S. is going to obviously win.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Nothing But Respect. My name is Harry Krinsky. I am joined, as always, by Patrick Redford, and we have Will Anderson of Hotline TNT on the show today. And it's a funny thing, the streets have been clamoring for the Will Anderson episode. I made a joke about I made some stupid joke a few months ago about MJ Lenderman knowing ball, and the main response I got was like, no dude, Will Anderson knows ball. Whatever you think in the indie ball knowing universe, the real streets need to be talking to Will Anderson. So I'm glad we were finally able to make it happen. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, we can get into some MJ talk at some point. He does know ball. I'd say, yeah, we'll talk about it.
I'm curious.
There's dozens of us. There's dozens of us.
We have to do 55 minutes on what is real shoegaze first. So, that's what the people are really clamoring for.
I'm used to that. That's my normal podcast conversation. So
the rumor going around is that you're 6'4". Does that
6'4".
allow you to build a taller wall of guitar sound? Is that sort of the tie-in here?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, I'm not a gearhead, which you probably, if you've heard any other podcast with me, I don't know what kind of guitar I have even, basically. But I know I want big, large, physically imposing stacks of equipment. That would be cool. Just like me.
It is funny I don't so why don't we jump into this kind of like this indie, the ball knowing indie musician overlap, which is like an overlap that it made no sense to me when I heard it on its face. But in this kind of like high school paradigm of like band jock continuum. But then I was thinking about it, and a lot of musicians I find are tall, and being tall lends itself to, at least at some point, somebody being like, get your ass in the post, young man. Which leads you to liking ball. So how did you get, have you always been a big basketball fan? Like, how did this take hold? And follow-up question after is why do you think this indie basketball synergy exists?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Wisconsin, pretty close to the Twin Cities. So I grew up as a Timberwolves fan. My dad, we were into all the sports, all Minnesota teams for whatever reason, even though we were in Wisconsin. But I think, when you're a kid growing up, either you're into sports or you're into music or kind of little bits of everything. And as I, developed, not to give you my whole life story,
no, please.
But eventually middle school, high school, I was like, I think I'm more of a music guy. I'm getting into jazz band and stuff like that. And then I drifted pretty far away from wanting to be a professional athlete, which was my original plan.
Same.
But then in high school, a couple things happened. I joined a band with some guys who were a little older than me, who were really into NBA basketball. And that band was called Larks. And I'm still in touch with most of those guys. And one of them in particular, Kyle Flater, is still one of my main, oh, did you see whatever just happened in the NBA? We'll still text to this day about what we saw that night. And then also Brad Cook, who you might know that name.
Faintly familiar, but he's receiving Joan Berenger links as well.
He grew up next door to me, and I grew up next door to him, I should say. He's 10 years older than me, but he was a mega Lakers fan. And that was another piece of him kind of just showing me how beautiful the game can be, despite being a Lakers fan. And he's a producer for Waxahachie and Snail Mail. He's in the MJ Lenderman extended universe now, all that stuff. So the indie rock basketball crossover started with those pieces.
Is it him? Maybe he's the progenitor of this. He's this kind of Pharrell style, omnivore producer, but also injecting knowing ball.
I don't want to give him too much credit, but he might be the OG. Yeah, he could be. I'll let you guys decide.
Being like, you
Get
got
him
to
on the
check out
podcast.
Jordan Farmar.
Get him on. He can talk about every lineup ever for the Lakers for sure.
That's awesome.
I feel like growing up as a Wolves fan, it might have been useful. I mean, I guess those KG teams were good, but it might have been useful to be exposed to like the best that it could be. Like, I grew up as a Kings fan, so my formative time is those really good Kings teams. But like, I only became a real like league wide NBA fan because I had the luxury of like not watching my local team because I could watch like competent basketball be played.
Yeah, I don't remember. As far as watching TV, basketball on TV as a kid, it was fairly limited to whatever the national broadcast was. Like my main memories are like Kobe in the dunk contest, a little bit of Michael Jordan, but I was pretty young. But it was that. I mean, Rodman was a big, huge. And this will be, I think, part of how music people get into basketball. I think Rodman's a really big part of that. And for me, he was my favorite player for like years and years. Still is.
What did you like about him?
I mean, he's insane. I mean, there's never been anyone like him, and I don't think there ever will be anyone like him. I think the Last Dance does a pretty good job. That episode about him, kind of talking about how at his peak he was just as famous as Michael Jordan, and I think he appealed to like a pretty like outside jock culture of people.
No, it's a good. Years ago, I worked on this show called Spinsters, and we did this like long deep dive into Rodman as this like queer icon was the kind of thrust of the piece. And there was you do for like he was such a rock star. Like he was just doing all these like amazing things that were, you couldn't really cover on the broadcast. You couldn't be like, yeah, he's like railing lines with Carmen Electra yesterday or whatever, but it did seem like everybody was like everybody knew about it and everybody who was excited about the like subculture of the NBA really gravitated toward Rodman.
Yeah, he was can't miss TV.
Yeah,
that was no matter what happened, whether he played good or not, it was like something crazy is going to happen tonight. And I think there's a few athletes like that. I feel, not to get too far off topic, but it kind of reminds me of my mom, who's not a big sports fan herself. Growing up as Minnesota fans, like she tuned in to watch Randy Moss every time.
Wow.
Because something crazy was going to happen every time he was on TV. And as a Minnesota fan, I count myself lucky to have that experience. But yeah, same with KG to a lesser extent, but like he was amazing and I loved him. But Rodman was one of those guys that like, yeah, sports fans and non-sports fans alike were attracted to him.
Is Rodman, I mean, I think both of you guys know more, like have more familiarity with him than me. My sense is that he's like a charismatic Draymond Green. How accurate does that feel?
I mean, I think Draymond has charisma as well, in a different flavor of it. But yeah, I mean, he was a bruiser, and he was like the king of rebounding. That's kind of my memory of him. That was like his calling card. But he also, as far as an actual player, like he contributed pretty heavily to like multiple championships, even before one before the Bulls too.
The other part of the and Kerr and Draymond have this kind of thing, but like. And there's actually kind of funny parallel universe here with Kerr and Phil Jackson and their relationship, and then Phil Jackson and Rodman. Like the funniest part about the Rodman Phil Jackson stuff is like Rodman would be like literally, there's stuff like I'm in my car with a gun, like not wanting to go into practice or whatever, and Phil Jackson would just be like, the center of the universe is a moving target, and like we got, and just would so that, and then like 3 weeks later he'd be helping them make the playoffs, and so I almost think, you can't. I mean, you can't have players don't have as long of a leash to be as crazy as they used to be because maybe there's so much more ad revenue, so many more eyeballs, whatever. Or just like a different attitude toward mental health, maybe. But and like maybe that's good, maybe maybe Rodman shouldn't have gotten to the point where he was had a gun in his car before practice. But their craziness juts out in different ways, I think.
Yeah, this is sort of similar to something we talked about last year with this theory that basically like every elite team has something that like distinguishes them, like something that is like kind of undefinable and makes them different. And I feel like the Draymond Rodman commonality is like, it's very helpful to have like kind of like a crazy guy, less in the sense of like specifically a guy like that, but more like an expression of the team's id. And I do think that's like slightly harder to find, but like, I guess what I like about that and what that kind of gets to, and I say this as like kind of a qualified Lou Dort defender, is like, there has to be something kind of like nasty and unquantifiable about the team. Like, I don't know, I guess as fans, like we see these games as like very definite objects. And it's like, especially with stats and stuff, it's like everything can be quantified. Everything can be like broken down. You can look at like, okay, the Nuggets offense is efficient because they do this, this, and this. And I do think there's like something that inevitably something is lost in that translation process. But like, if you look at someone like Lou just like beating the shit out of people in this totally evil way, or like Naz Reid's facility with like these pump and go drives, or like even another Wolves guy like Io just sprinting fast all the time. It's like this way of being and way of playing that like transcends mathematics that I feel like I see with Rodman and Green.
No, I totally agree. All right. I wanted to talk one of the, I mean, there's actually many reasons why we know that you know ball, despite the, including the streets have been clamoring for it. But one of them is that you make the zine, and can you just tell us about tell us and the audience about this zine? And I have some questions within it, but I'll let you just break it down.
Yeah, I'm the publisher and editor of the longest running NBA fanzine, I think, in the world, unless someone wants to jump in and correct me. But I mean, it's loose because like it used to be when I started it, it was like deep COVID lockdown, and I was publishing it twice a month, which is insane. But at the time, we had so much time. It was fine. But now it's like once every few months, and it's like whenever I have time and like energy for it. And I love doing it. But yeah, I always loved making my own fanzines. I'm a punk adjacent indie rock guy, and that's a big part of the culture there. But making another indie rock zine just kind of felt like anyone could do that. And it just, kind of combines two of my big hobbies, I guess you could call them, as far as watching pro basketball and, punk zines, and kind of found a spot that no one else had covered, I guess. That's what it is.
Yeah, the zine, like I'm looking at an issue now, and like you have Terry Rozier superimposed over the background of sort of a Grim Reaper scream mask type person. You have a sentence that says here, if you saw my last issue, you know how I feel about the Thunder. They suck, in all caps. There's a lot to like in here. This is real like OG basketblogging stuff.
I mean, that's the kind of writing, and this is how I kind of view all art, is like I wanted to make something that I would like reading and fun to read, entertaining. That's what it's all about for me. And I'm sure we'll get deeper into this, but like the product of the NBA, I hate to say it, for me has gone down kind of drastically in the last few years.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, speak on it.
We'll get to it, and we can get to it right now. But like, that's part of the reason I haven't been publishing as frequently as well. It's like I'm not excited about the league right now, or the association, I should say. The association.
This game of ours.
Yeah, that's changing. But I'm getting back into it. But yeah,
I do want to get to that. I have one or two more questions on the fanzine stuff. One is actually to take a step back, which is like I am like ambiently aware that the zines are a big part of punk and indie culture. Like, but do you know like why that is? Because there's this other funny thread that I've seen in your career and like in the stuff that you put out that I really admire, which is like the amount of you are not taking the sort of like smooth or easy way. There's like a labor of love, like labor intensive stuff to the things you make that I think shows through and why people fuck with you. And like a zine is a perfect example of that. Of like, you could, if you wanted to, throw this on Substack and like type it out on your hand, whatever. Like all of these decisions to make it more difficult are on purpose decisions, and I'm curious, kind of like what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is I was watching Seinfeld the other day, and George had it's Kramer. Kramer had a very poignant moment with George. George said something about it was an episode. Sorry, I'm being ridiculous right now, but
no, please.
There's an episode where Kramer is like involved in the revitalization of an old movie house, and George says something like, "Why would I go see this movie I could watch on TV?" And Kramer says, "Well, why go out for a fine meal when you can just microwave something? It's like, why do anything that way?" I could put it on Substack and nobody would care. I mean, unless I was like a really incredible writer or something like that, which I don't think I am. But like, to me, two-part answer. I think this is just cooler than Substack or like anything like that. Like, it's handmade. People are going to pay attention more. I pay attention to that stuff more when I see it in the wild. Just like I was saying before, it's like I want to make the stuff that I would want to consume. Like, I don't need another Substack to subscribe to. But if someone was making, a cool fanzine, I would want to read that and hold it in my hands. And yes, that is limiting my reach for sure. But like, it's a trade-off. But why I think it's such a through line with punk and DIY is that, it's like there is absolutely no censorship. It's completely no rules. I can make whatever I want. I can do whatever I want in the zine. Everything's made at my house. My own photocopier, I guess technically if when I do the master copy in my house and then I take it to a print shop. I guess maybe if I was, printing something super extreme and the copier there, like guy caught wind of it, he could maybe censor me. But for the most part, as long as no one's like unsealing the mail, like, it's just, it's like with punk music, it's self-releasing your own 7-inch. It's like, it's all under your control, basically. That's what's appealing for me. And I think a lot of other people.
I like the idea of like a Kinko's employee who's sort of an informer to the NBA deep state, who's like, man, this guy's writing some crazy stuff about Chauncey Billups and FanDuel. Like, we gotta censor that. I'm so sorry, man. Like, tens of people could see this zine. This is damaging for us. Yeah.
I mean, I put a little like disclaimer at the end of every issue where it's like, this is not condoned or by the NBA. They're also not aware of it, but if they were, I'm sure they wouldn't condone it. Yeah.
Let's talk about the what you alluded to before, which is we have, we're this is a podcast out of Oakland and Brooklyn. We're encountering a few people with a kind of like hipster artistic sensibility. They are without fail being like, the Thunder are the like, they are, if Spotify was a team, if Palantir was a team, like, they are like, this is what they represent. Literally, we've had Tom Krell of How to Dreswell. He gave an incredibly like articulate rant about the Thunder being this sort of like agentic evil team. I was talking to somebody else about it the other day, same thing. You in your zine have shit on the Thunder by way of talking about like, why do artists hate the Thunder?
Well, I can talk about my side and then maybe get into what I see as the broader
yes, please.
thing you're touching on. Last year in the playoffs, my Minnesota Timberwolves fell to the Thunder 4-1. And we happened to be playing a show in Oklahoma City during that playoff series on a pretty big stage in a pretty full room. We were opening for a band that, it was a good sized crowd, maybe like 700-800 people, I'd say.
Damn.
And this happened to be the one night that the Timberwolves beat the Thunder. And I participated in what I thought was very playful ribbing on stage, on the mic. That's kind of who I am. I'm a Dennis Rodman fan. I like to, I feed off that stuff. I like Draymond too. And I thought it was like all in good fun. Like we were still down on the series at that point, and it didn't. I guess at that point it wasn't a foregone conclusion because we took the belt to them pretty hard that night.
They won game 3, right?
Is that right? Yeah,
I believe. I remember game 4 being amazing, and I think that was when the Thunder went up 3-1. But yeah.
I mean, it was like you'll have to check the stats in this one, but like if it was game 3, it would have been the first game at home for the Timberwolves, and if you win game 3. You haven't lost any games at home yet. It's anyone's series at that point. You're not in trouble until you lose at home. So I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm like talking a lot of shit on stage. And like we even found like for whatever reason there was a giant cutout of SGA's head in the green room, which I brought on stage and like put my knee through it and stuff, and like really like kind of like taunting the crowd. Again, I thought they would think it was funny. Which I think some of them did, but then like after the show at the merch table, it was like pretty clear that they weren't that amused by it. Like people were like coming up to me. My girlfriend's walking out to the bathroom right now, and yeah, we got like a lot of DMs, like pretty nasty stuff. I can send you some screenshots
I would
if you want to like.
Please send the screenshots.
Yeah, I will. I'll you can include these in the IG post.
Amazing.
But yeah, so a couple of guys like kept messaging me for like a while afterwards. And people were like, why would you do that? You had such an opportunity to like make a good impression in Oklahoma City. And I'm like, are you serious? But then I remembered that like this is all they have. This is all they have in Oklahoma City. And whatever. It's kind of like it's personal now. I don't fuck with the Thunder.
Yep.
They don't fuck with me. But yeah,
you had
getting
such
into
an
like,
opportunity. So
like I thought I'm an entertainer. I'm in the entertainment biz.
Right.
I thought you guys would take this in stride.
Yeah.
But I've made that mistake before in other situations. So it's part of my my character flaw or character arc, I should say.
That is really funny. Okay, and then what's the macro like? What's
So I think I actually did watch a little bit of Tom's spiel as I was researching the show a little bit. I don't really know X's and O's as much as he does, so I can't speak to that as much. But my friend who I mentioned earlier, Kyle, actually texted me the other night saying like, "What do you think about SGA?" And I was like, he's just like he's ChatGPT as a basketball player. It's just like, yes, he's putting up the numbers, and like to me, he was like almost like Kawhi Leonard, but like with less entertainment value. I mean, I think there was a lot of memes and jokes back in the day about Kawhi being like, all right, like run laugh.exe, right. Like, like robot style. But SGA is even less personable to me. And that's as somebody who, I write an NBA fanzine. I like the off-court drama. Like, I watched the game last night that played against the Nuggets, which was a great game.
Amazing game.
And I just got nothing from that team. Like, even with all the heroics, it was like, who's the personality of this team? It's not SGA. It's not Chet Holmgren, which I can talk about him too.
You're uniquely positioned to talk about him as a Thunder hater, Minnesota guy.
I was his teacher. He went to Minnehaha Academy. I didn't have him in my class, but I did teach. I was a substitute teacher in Minneapolis, and I taught his school a few times.
Damn.
So I'm around.
Can you say anything about him without breaking teacher HIPAA?
Yeah.
I actually think he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He used to ride the bus like when I lived in Minneapolis, and like every time I saw him on the bus, like someone would like comment on how tall he was, and he was always like really gracious and like humble and chill. That was back then. I don't know what he's like now.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like Chet. But again, as a basketball fan, none of these guys really pass the entertainment eyeball test for me. If I was gonna pick, I guess they got that McCain. He's like the TikToker guy.
Sacramento's finest.
First personality
cool.
hire in the NBA.
Yeah. Maybe Alex Caruso, if anyone. Like, I feel like remember watching him on the Lakers was like always pretty fun, and like he's got some heart. But like, contrast that with my new favorite team, the New York Knicks.
Oh,
I'm kind of falling for the Knicks.
Interesting.
so many personalities, like so fun off court and on. That's what's important to me.
Yeah, talk about personality hire. I feel like Alvarado really just like deepens their like Knicks. I mean, not to only get
it was
like,
already there.
Yeah,
but now with him, it's just like it's overflowing. I love it.
The Thunder stuff is interesting. Like I've definitely I'm more sympathetic to them than basically almost anyone. I think what I like about Shea is that he does cool moves. Like I do agree that like the way he carries himself and with how sort of like procedurally generated a lot of his game feels, like you're now seeing pretty much every coach in press conferences be asked about the foul baiting stuff, and like in their most gracious moments, they're basically just saying like, yeah, he's not busted. The rules he's exploiting are busted, which is like basically saying the same thing to me. It's like he's exploiting them in this very cynical way. I totally agree with that. But like, I do see this sort of faint glimmer of like what the real hoops, like almost like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant revanchists, like say is like missing from the league. Like if you watch that guy operate with the ball, it's like he does some incredible slithery shit. The only problem is like when he hit the game winner last night, he said he was asked if he planned to take a step back three specifically. And he said, I have answers to the test, but I got to see all the questions first, which is like the lamest shit you could. He's like trying to do a cool guy promo, but like it just falls so flat. So
he's falling to the Jason Tatum syndrome.
Yeah.
Just kind of like getting the catchphrases loaded up ahead of time or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have, because it weirdly has been like the Oklahoma City Thunder have been like an accidental muse of this podcast. And I've like completely lost track of how I actually feel about them. They're just like a total like abstraction of like of whether things are cool or not cool. The game yesterday was a great example because I was legitimately captivated by Shea on the court. I just think what like the step backs, the kind of like the shots he hit specifically countering the shots that were hit on them, like the kind of like the crazy 4-point play. Your whole team's rattled, and he's like, I'm gonna come in and just hit these two threes that
calm, cool, and collected.
Exactly. Like that is all you want from a star on the court, I think. And then I got a
those words. I agree with those words.
Shrug from Will. Like but then there's something. I mean, I remember feeling this way about the Spurs in the 2000s, where I didn't like them because they were too good, but good in this like unflappable and kind of like ultimately boring way. I'm sure. I suspect I'm from the Bay, so I'm a big Warriors fan. I'm sure people felt this way about the Curry KD stuff, where it was just like, what are we doing here? But I don't know. They could use a Rodman. Like I wish they had one player on their team that was like couldn't get out of his own way. Like if Prime Boogie Cousins,
I don't think Lou Dort is that guy. No offense.
No, 100%.
You know, he's not quite there.
No.
Well, even like in the last few, after he did that crazy dirty trip on Jokic, like one of the dozens of guys he's tried to injure this season, they fucking walked it back. They're like trying to endear themselves.
They were talking about that last night. Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I have this sort of like, I'm developing this theory of villainhood in the NBA where like every era kind of gets the villains they deserve. And those Warriors team, and it's almost always just like the best team in the league naturally becomes a villain. Like you want to see athletes rise and then fall and like do the whole cycle. Yeah. If the Warriors kind of typified what could be thought of as like the excesses of like player empowerment, specifically around KD, in a lot of ways, I think KD was sort of like the sin eater for that team. Basically, I think your theory about the Shea as ChatGPT is basically totally borne out by like the character of the villainhood of the Thunder, where it's like that they do play this very like grim actuarial style. It's just like, we're going to beat the fuck out of you on defense and sort of arbitrage. Let's just say generously they're doing foul arbitrage on literally every single play on the court. And it's this kind of like working the conditions of the game seems to be as operative as them actually being great at basketball. And as Oklahoma City's number one most hated indie rock villain. The Flaming Lips, if they see you, it's on site. I don't know. How does that jibe with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's tons of examples like this in sports. I mean, like Moneyball was kind of like a way to exploit the system.
Yeah.
I'm reading this pretty great book right now about the Miami Dolphins 1972 unbeaten season. They were like the only undefeated team ever. It's kind of the same thing. They're just like the emphasis was on clock management and defense, and that's how they won every single game. And it's like, I'm sure the Miami fans loved it, but like, you know, was it really fun to watch? I don't know. I haven't really watched the clips myself, but yeah, I mean, I guess to get back to your question, what was the question exactly?
Basically, like, do you think what makes them good villains, I guess?
Yeah, I don't think they are. Like, they're hated by a lot of people, but I don't think they have the X factor of like even Kevin Durant, that storyline. Like they built this team the right way. They give them credit for that. It's all like they stocked the draft picks for like a decade basically, and like took their time and like really had the process. And now they have like an unbeatable team for like years to come. It seems like
it's kind of grim and machine-like. Would you say?
Yeah, and there's no. What was I was watching? I had something I wanted to bring up in this conversation actually, but yeah, it's just like there's nothing unpredictable about this team at all. That's what we want to see when we watch sports, I think. And the ChatGPT element is just kind of like, yep, we've analyzed the entire game, and this is the optimal outcome. This is how we win as many games as possible.
Yeah, the optimization, that word does seem totally correct, and I think forms a great contrast with the Knicks. Like I was watching their game with the Clippers last night, and it's like on any given play, they could like run the most bruising shit to get OG like a wide open dunk, or it's just like Cat kind of freaking out for 19 seconds. And like that lack of consistency, I do find quite endearing, because when it's effective, they're like, I mean, they could win the championship, I think, but like they seem so sort of screamingly human in a way that like, would it be fair to say you find endearing specifically
for the Knicks?
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I was talking to my booking agent, who's a New York native, grew up in Manhattan, and I was like, dude, I think I'm getting into this Knicks team for real. And he was just like, they're gonna hurt you. Like if you become a fan, they will hurt you. So yeah, I mean, I'm not like all in on them or anything. They're kind of my East Coast team for sure. But yeah, like anything could happen. And that's this is what made me think of this. You know, talking about like how my interest in watching basketball has kind of waned a little bit in the last couple years, especially this season. I feel like I kind of replaced that part of my diet with like NFL football, to be honest. I was tapped in on Gridiron for whatever reason.
Nice.
But what got me back this year happened, I think, 2 weeks ago now, and is the subject of my new issue of the zine that I'm publishing right now. I was on the couch right over here, and I don't know if you caught this moment, but there was a Cavs Pistons game on. And
I knew
my
it was going
girlfriend
to have the Pistons. I had a sixth sense that the Pistons were going to be involved.
My girlfriend was like right next to me on the couch, kind of like we were having some kind of like semi-serious conversation. I can't remember what it was about, but we were kind of trying to talk, but the game was on in the background. For whatever reason, I like flipped it on, which was kind of a rare occurrence this year. And after a few minutes, I was like, Jill, I can't focus right now because why is the buzzer still on? Like there was a buzzer malfunction in the game. And I was like, I actually can't focus on this conversation right now. And that I tuned in to like see what was going on. Like the buzzer was stuck on for 12 minutes. And it was like the funniest thing I've seen on an NBA broadcast. It was like almost like an SNL skit. And that like, I was like, all right, I'm back in on basketball. Like anything could happen. And I watched like the night game after that. Yeah, it was incredible. But
you just had, as screaming comes across the sky, you just had to have something like amazing and unpredictable happen. I kind of love that.
Unpredictable. Like, and that would only happen at the Palace, you know. It would not happen anywhere but the Pistons arena. Like that's where it had to happen. It wouldn't happen in Oklahoma City, I can tell you that.
No. I want to say a few things about this. One, I do remember this 100%. I remember getting a bunch of texts being like, there's something really strange happening in this game. I've also been working on a sort of like low stakes theory of my own that these scoreboard malfunctions are going up. I think there have been more scoreboard malfunctions this season than any other season it's probably happened like 3 or 4 times this season, which feels a lot, where it'll be like, yeah, the shot clock is broken. Like,
interesting.
It
happens in Houston all the time. It's
does it? Okay.
Specific. Yeah, they've had 3 or 4 different times when I've been watching a game, and the announcers will mention when there's 12 seconds on the shot clock and then count down from 5.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that because I think there's like a degree of subjectivity involved. Like, I actually do think they're giving the Rockets like 26 seconds and the other team like 22, because there's like really no way to check.
Yeah.
And as someone who is not so much a fan of the concept of fairness, which maybe already, you could have gleaned from the Thunder stuff, I kind of like the idea that like your home court advantage should be like more significant.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I definitely agree.
Also unpredictable.
Yeah. I mean, this is another thing that like, we talk about, or not we, that this guy talks about in the Miami Dolphins book about like back in the day, home court advantage was, I think, way more pronounced. I'm sure as with all of these leagues, as time went on, they had to kind of clamp down on it. But like, yeah, whether it's you guys get the bad locker room or the side of the field that's got sun beating down on you all day, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Just to go ahead.
Oh no, you go.
I was going to touch on one more thing about SGA and foul baiting,
Please.
Which is obviously like, I feel like that was maybe the discourse last year more so. It was just all about that. But people said the same thing about James Harden for years too. And I feel like there's a difference. Like I'm a long-standing James Harden apologist.
Wow.
And I feel like they get the same criticism. For whatever reason, Harden's more unpredictable and interesting to me. But he does kind of carry himself the same way in a way.
To me, they have one of the biggest deltas of like how much they pay attention to what people think about them and online. Like there's famously that Young Thug quote about how James Harden doesn't have internet, which I think is like totally true. Like you can, he feels like a throwback to kind of the MJ era in that way, where it's like, he just goes out there, puts up his like 28 and 12, hits the club, does not look at Instagram at any point during this, and just like kind of keeps it rolling. Whereas like Shea is very like gleefully at the center of the panopticon. Yeah,
I agree.
No, it is true. And like the Harden foul baiting, I as a discrete act, it did really bug me. Like, and I felt it was a similar level of cynical. There is something endearing about the fact that Harden never made it to the mountaintop. Like he never was the player on the best team. Like he was never the best player on the best team in the league. He was always pretty close. He was always one of the best offensive teams. They would always lose. They would lose to those Warriors teams. There's something.
Whereas SGA is just like broken the game, and he's already won MVP and a championship,
and like you would, if you had to bet who is going to win the 2030 championship, like the gambling odds would say him. Like the Thunder. Yeah, there's a degree of
there's no story there.
Yeah.
Well, to me, this is also why I like Wemby so much, because watching him do literally anything is something unexpected is going to happen. Like, did you see there was I think it was in their game against the Pistons. They've had a lot of like big national TV games where he defended like both sides of a pick and roll like 20 feet away from the rim while getting screened, and he just does shit like that like every game.
I don't think I saw that, but yeah, he definitely like he ticks the box of like, if I put a game on that he's playing, there'll be 3 or 4 times per night where I'm like, holy shit. Like, which again, not to keep coming back to the Thunder, but like that just doesn't happen. Even last night with the crazy shots, I wasn't just like, well, that sucked.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of, I'm wearing my Thunder stuff as like mostly a contrarian pose. Like actually, as someone who mostly watches the NBA because I think it's like very beautiful, there's not a lot of stuff about the Thunder that's like beautiful in that sense. Like it's really just Jared McCain and AJ Mitchell that I like. But like, I think going into these playoffs, the like number one storyline that everyone's going to be talking about is like, is this the year that Wemby just fucking takes over?
Right.
That he like has a perfect playoffs and kills the Thunder. And like, kind of all I want is Spurs Thunder Western Conference Finals. Like if the Nugs beat the Thunder early, amazing. I'm all in on that. Like I'm a big Nuggets fan, but like I think Wemby like breaks the mold in a specific, like he is so anti-Thunder in so many ways is my point. Like the rivalry with him and Chet is so funny because it's like Chet just like competently doing, 7-foot run around stuff. Then Wemby is just like twice as better at all the same shit. And that he is like, he'll like cry on the court after winning like a game on a Tuesday against the Clippers or whatever. And like has like the big Spurs fan section and like the way that he like openly cares, I think is going to really get a lot of fans.
I mean,
specifically in contrast.
The All-Star discourse definitely like boosted his respect among the NBA community, I would say, for sure. I mean, it was already sky high, but yeah.
So, okay, I wanted to, one of the themes of, you've talked about this when you were on the indie basketball podcast, you mentioned this, and then it's clear in your zine that and you even actually just said it in part, is like the stuff that you really like is the kind of in between stuff, the drama of the league. And you had this in your most recent zine, not the one that's about to come out, but the autumn one, you said something that I like kind of think about loosely in the back of my mind, but it was good to crystallize it, where you were like, I don't like all this gambling stuff. I don't like that Chauncey Billups is going to jail, or that Terry Rozier is, but you do like the that these moments of like monoculture provide a ability to like, for just like people across different communities to talk to each other about like, oh my God, did you see this? Yeah. And like on our last episode, I think Will made a joke about like sports are designed different. Will, we had back-to-back Wills. Other Will was like sports are designed to help young men like make small talk with each other. So what of this year, like what is the what are the kind of like monoculture drama moments that have got you excited, other than this hilarious Pistons malfunction?
Buzzer gate.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm glad you put it in the run of show, because I was going to bring it up. We have to talk about it. Is speaking of James Harden, the Magic City situation.
Now resolved.
Unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah. I was like,
with more questions.
There's no
answers,
way
yeah.
Cornette's going to really shut this thing down, but he did, man.
He's got pull. Al Horford joined in.
I know. So lame.
So
did you see the sweatshirt that the Hawks made for Magic City night?
No, I didn't.
It's beautiful.
It's fire.
They made this like, they got some local artist to put together. It looks incredible.
Look it up. It's
maybe I want to look it up now. You can get my reaction.
Please. My only read of it is like the only thing I have to say about this is I can't help but see this as a return to like 90s soy conservative like PC culture, where they're now being like scandalized about they're putting strippers at the damn NBA games. Like reminds me of like how the right thought about political, like the right used to be the party of political correctness, and then the left kind of became the party of political correctness. I kind of hope that the right goes back to being the party of political correctness, because that's a great way to lose. So like that's like this idea of this like Christian white guy being like, they're the strippers are scaring God away from the arena. It's like, get fucking whatever.
Not the gambling or the anything else. Yeah. So maybe this is a good thing ultimately. Is that your possible?
It's my sort of like, maybe there's like a macro shift in the right direction, because it's got to be unpopular. Yeah. Like people, who cares? I mean, but it was very funny. I'm grateful to Luke for doing this for me personally, because it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking about it. It was a topic that broke through to my group chats and my text messages.
What were the general takes from within the?
I think the takes were like, we were surprised that I mean, I just didn't see Cornette he was to me kind of like a faceless guy until I didn't know he was a Catholic dork until this happened. So that was kind of like a moment for him. I think we were surprised that, in retrospect, surprised that the NBA didn't shut this down earlier.
Yeah.
Not that we disagreed with, like, not that we thought it was a bad thing to happen at all, but like, was it kind of like, did the Hawks just kind of think they would beg forgiveness, or did they check before they went ahead with this plan? But yeah, I guess surprised that, like, yeah, someone like Horford and Cornette would, like, isn't there other things in this world that you might have something you care about a bit deeper than this, like a bigger issue? I don't know. That was kind of the basic.
Yeah.
And I like that it's taking place in the center of Mickey Mouse March as well.
Yes.
And also I just looked it up, and the team they're playing on Magic City Night is the Magic, which great,
Smart.
That's like perfect synchronicity, but also like that means that neither Horford nor Cornette are like involved in this game whatsoever.
But they gotta protect the brand. It's their duty as like an ambassador to the brand to like shut this down. It's just weird. And like I said, Catholic dorks. I don't know. It's a vocal minority in the NBA.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, yeah. I think also, like, if you're a big guy and you make the NBA, like, you're probably weird.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Anyone who's like 6'5" grew up like playing hoops and having to scrap and like really like build their game and stuff. But if you're just like 7 feet and reasonably athletic, you can kind of get there without the like soul eroding competitivity that like someone like Ant has or whatever. And so I think that lends itself to then like stranger, less well-rounded, like spikier personalities getting into the league, such as Catholic medium bloggers.
For sure.
No, I always go back to the Kevin Clark tweet about James Wiseman, where it was I just pulled it up. I went to James Wiseman, famous 7'2" guy, and bust. Yeah, I went to an event.
I forgot about him. Yeah.
Yeah. He just released a conscious rap song, which is okay. Yeah. Which is another sign I don't want my starting center to be a conscious rapper. I went to an event last year to interview an NFL guy. The NFLer bailed, but James Wiseman was there. So I talked to him for 10 minutes and he really liked talking about Rick and Morty. I asked him why he watched, and he said, quote, "It's very weird, and I'm a weird and awkward person." And it's like,
there you go.
That's what these guys, that's like, that is to your point about 7 foot guys in the league. Like they're writing medium posts. They're being like, what if there's like 1,000 friggin', what about Evil Morty? Like
there's I mean, I can go a lot of different directions from that. I'm still to this day a hardcore Family Guy watcher. I watch on live TV every week, but there's a 7-footer who was in DC, college player who came to every Hotline TNT show. Just to get back to the indie rock,
really,
basketball thing. I don't know if he's going to be like a pro NBA player. No one's heard of him really, so probably not. But like, I know a couple scouts in Brooklyn who like are aware of him and stuff like that. He could play. Like, I think he's from Australia.
Okay,
but yeah, it's I haven't watched him play yet, but I can't say for sure. I mean, most indie rockers are awkward too, and he might be the kind of the unicorn that fits both awkward bubbles. I don't know.
You better hope Oklahoma City doesn't draft him.
Yeah,
I hope not.
Or else.
Yeah.
No,
he's playing. He's in Providence now. I think he's still in college. But
nice. The thing I liked about Magic City Night is that it's like that could only happen in Atlanta. Not like just the Magic City specificity, but like a night honoring a famous local strip club. Like, unless it's like the Blazers really need to sell tickets, like that shit is not happening anywhere else. And I think something that I liked about that was that like it felt geographically distinct in a way that like as I feel like market size has never mattered less, and every team kind of feels the same in some ways. And this is another way that OKC kind of typifies, this trend. Like the idea that an MVP, Shea would just be like totally content to play in a place like Oklahoma City. And like even 10, 15 years ago would be totally unthinkable.
Right.
You know, there's this idea that you need to like get to LA or New York to like enhance your brand. But like, I don't know, because of Instagram or whatever, you don't need to anymore. And like, that's kind of a bummer to me.
I have a few things to say about that. So I went to college and spent about 10 years in Vancouver, BC, which is where the Grizzlies started. And I think there was a pretty famous situation, like what you're talking about. Was it Steve Francis, I think?
Yes. Steve
That's not right?
Francis did not, was like,
he was in the draft.
demanded to
and
not
he
be drafted
said, like,
by there. Yeah.
Don't draft me. I am not going to play for Vancouver. And I don't think they did they?
No, they didn't draft him.
Or they didn't draft him.
Yeah.
And that just like kills your possibility of like having an honest draft pick, really. I mean, but now it's like Vancouver is, I mean, that team got stolen from them by Memphis, which again, we could talk about this all day, but like, same thing with Supersonics.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, being a kind of a Vancouver person too, having a lot of Sonics fans in my life, they still have a chip on their shoulder about any success Oklahoma City sees.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like even Toronto is like kind of seen like, I think the perspective, if Vancouver was starting now with a team, I think things would be a lot different. Kind of what you're saying. Like, I think those would be destinations, just like Toronto is, you know, goes up and down, I think, over the years, but like, it's not seen as like a curiosity that like, oh, there's a team in Vancouver or a team in Toronto now. It's like, well, they won a championship a few years ago, actually. You know, it's like, it's a legit destination culturally and, you know, basketball wise too. Oklahoma City, I can't say that, but
too many Lime scooters in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Just as a general critique. The two things I wanted to bring up. One, on the Portland, I have been thinking about this a lot. The idea of the Portland Trailblazers doing a strip club night and being like, yeah, the Trailblazers game is sponsored. We're doing like stinky fuck strip club night or whatever the Portland strip clubs are called. So that's one thing. The other thing is the other place I wanted to bring this up at the top, but one of the other reasons I clocked that you were a ball knower is you did an interview and somebody was like, what music have you been listening to? And you were like, I've been listening to Yeet, which is great, you know, great sport Yeet. But you were like, I found him because he was sitting courtside at a Portland Trailblazers game, which isn't even the most recent time Yeet sat courtside at a Trailblazers game. This is like a year or two ago when he was doing that.
Yeah.
And I first of all, I've like weirdly also found kind of like underground rappers. The Detroit has a pretty good relationship with the Detroit rap scene. The Pistons, I should say, have a pretty good. Like they're like V's as a rapper who I very much like. He's going to Pistons games. There's they're like always playing V's at the warm-ups and stuff. So like you can really you can learn about music through you know regional NBA games. But I loved the idea of you finding Yeet watching presumably Portland Trailblazers League Pass.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember what the conditions were that led me to watching that game, but like, I think I was vaguely aware of him as an entity, but like, definitely had never seen him. I didn't know what he looked like until they showed him on the screen. I was like, whoa, that's what Yeet looks like. All right, I'm gonna like dig in a little bit here, but yeah, I mean, as someone who I live in New York now and I go to maybe a game a year, like it's definitely one of the moments of the game where you're like, oh, let's see who's like courtside tonight. Yeah, this will be fun. And yeah, I don't know. I think Yeet, he was also sitting with like his girlfriend during that game. This is on a podcast that talked about this.
I think so. I think it was
because I remember I saw that on the list. We're going to talk about this, and I was like, when did I tell someone? It's the
first topic on the list.
Yeah. I was like, I need to.
I don't remember telling anyone about this, but I guess I did.
Is it true? Like, do you remember this story?
I remember seeing him on TV.
Okay,
for sure. And like, I must have talked about it, but it's funny too because I brought Yeet up yesterday. It's really random that you are talking about him because he has a song called "Sorry About That," and after my first date with my girlfriend, this is years ago now. Our first date was a Knicks game, Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
Who are they playing?
and the Portland Trailblazers.
well,
Maybe
well, well.
was that the game? Maybe he was. No, he
Maybe.
wouldn't have been at that game.
He could. I mean,
No, he wasn't.
I have a lot of questions.
It
So
was-
first date at a Knicks game. That's like
First day was the Knicks game.
How to lose a guy in 10 days. Behavior.
Well, there's more to the story, which we probably don't have time to get into.
Okay, fair enough.
But that night we went our separate ways. First date. Gentlemen,
Sure,
went our
of
separate
course.
ways, and I sent her a song, which was "Sorry About That" by Yeet. That was like the first song I ever sent her. So
Wow,
this really weird NBA connection for me with Yeet.
that's beautiful.
Anyway, yeah.
And clearly it was the right move.
We're still together.
And Yeet and his girlfriend are still together, which is great.
Awesome. Yeah, they both. I was gonna say they both looked really cool, and just had. I guess rappers always are supposed to look cool, but there was something about both of them that was like, I want to know more about these people. What is going on?
Yeah, and he's. I love the way that Yeet is spelled with the A. Just like it has
Mhm.
a nice mouthfeel. But before we get you out of here, I do want to ask about taking Hotline TNT's music off Spotify. Just like big ups. I admire any artist who's willing to care about their work enough to care about how it's consumed and really take a stand on that. And you said in your statement, a cooler world is possible, which is again, a beautiful sentiment. How did you come to that decision? And what has been easier or harder, surprising? It's been a year or so, right?
I think it was I want to say August or ish that we took it off around there, or late summer, early fall. I mean, my band is relatively new to Spotify in the first place. We kind of, just to get back to the DIY thing, it was if you want to know this band, you're going to have to get it you have to buy a physical record or a tape. We had the whole record streaming on YouTube as one long upload. It was kind of it had served multiple purposes. It was kind of like having a fanzine. It's just it's a little bit more if it's a little harder to access, I think it just automatically just feels cooler to me. That's how, when I'm consuming art, I'm going to pay attention more. So I kind of applied the same theory to my own band, and that's just how I did things for a long time. And then we signed a record label. I'm going to speed run the story a little bit, but signed to a record label, and that was the natural thing to do. Is all right, we're putting the catalog up on the number one digital streaming provider that everyone listens to music on, and that was just a foregone conclusion. And then the tide started shifting back politically. We saw other people kind of doing removals, and I was we need to do this too. This is how it was always this way before. I want to go back. It was better this way. Maybe we may lose some of our reach as far as getting new fans potentially, but we could spend an entire podcast talking about the pros and cons, but I feel great about it. And I would say the thing that I've noticed the most, which is if I'm getting back to the monoculture and talking to the UPS guy about basketball, it's if I talk to the guy at the bodega and they find out oh, you're in a band, what's your band? And I was well, it's called Hotline TNT. He's oh, cool, let me look you up on Spotify. I'm oh, well, we're not on Spotify. And it's it has removed some of that, I guess, but it's just it's one extra step of I'm kind of not even making a point here, but
No, I
you see where I'm going with this, right?
I
absolutely.
totally. Well, we talk about this a lot on a slightly different way with our show, where we don't do video, which is kind of a similar thing of you make your show and you put it on YouTube and you do the front facing clips and all that stuff. And as the current meta of making blowing up a podcast, and that there's just other ways. There are other. You can kind of be a little bit more nuanced about the ways you want to connect with the people who like your stuff, and it doesn't need to be just that way. And there are cooler ways possible. It's a great kind of stand-in for that idea. And one of the things, and to that point, like it may even be a stronger connection. It's just a different one, like you know, and that there's many ways of looking at all these kinds of models.
Back in the pre us being on Spotify, that was kind of a common like reaction we got from people. It was like people that are, because we weren't available through the most mainstream channels, it was like people that were in on Hotline TNT were like all the way in. They were like big fans. And that was like, I think, a very big key to like our grassroots kind of word of mouth buzz, I guess you could call it, you know?
Yeah, it's like that may limit your reach, but it's like the coolest way to have people find out about you. And when they find out about, like, if you get like a recommendation on something from just like someone talking to you, I feel like you're going to encounter that art with like way more like receptivity to it.
Yeah.
So I really, I admire your decision.
Thanks.
I mean, totally. And there's like art and how you find out about the art. Like that has never been, the barrier between the art and finding out about the art has never been like more of the same thing, unfortunately, because of the ways you need to kind of bake in your marketing model to your art, or the way it sometimes feels like you need to do that. And so like I see a lot of this stuff as like a extension of the creative process and like a set of creative decisions you can make or not make around your art. Which I think is great. The last kind of in this universe like thing that I was curious about is like, so this funny, like one way of thinking about this would be like being very online versus being like a Luddite and, not having your stuff anywhere. You don't strike me as like a Luddite not online. Like, and when I look at like your website is well designed, you're putting stuff on YouTube. There's a lot of like, kind of like internet culture style references in what you're doing, your Twitch stream. But there's clearly, or it seems to me, and I'm curious that you've done a lot of thinking about like which corners of the internet and which sort of models of the internet to engage with. Is that true? Like, do you think a lot about how to use the internet? And how so? Pretty
much sun up to sundown. That's what I'm thinking about. Literally. I mean, yeah, I try not to. I mean, it's a constant battle for me. It's like all this stuff we're talking about. It's like we're not going to get the genie back in the bottle. We're not going to all stop using Instagram as much as I would like to. So yeah, like it's funny. I have tons of friends who are. Everyone in the business is struggling with the same stuff. It's just like, I have a new single dropping on Thursday and I have to make a video to promote it. And I just really don't want to. I just want to play music. And that's like, yeah, we can all complain about that, but complain all you want. It's just the way it is. And you can find I think there's just instead of seeing it as like a bummer, I think, for me to get up and keep doing it every day, it's like I kind of have to see that as like an opportunity to be creative. And yeah, whether that's like, making a fanzine that I put a little sample of on Instagram, but you have to buy the whole thing by subscribing, whatever it is. And I'm firmly, I have a foot in both camps, obviously, as you recognize. It's like, I like Twitch. I think it's cool. And I also hate it. And I hate being on the internet on my screen all the time. But I like playing video games. But I also want to listen to the radio with an FM pirate station. It's just like, the dichotomy is crazy, as they say. But that's the world we live in. And any given day, I'm kind of marching in opposite directions, I guess. So.
That's the modern condition, right? Like just awareness outstripping ability, but also like you do have, you can customize your, I don't want to say the word stack here, but like you really can like work within these kind of crazy parameters in really interesting ways. And I think you're someone who does that. So, I
mean, wherever we're going, we're all going there together. So, I mean, I can try to live off the grid if I wanted to, and people do, and limited success, but, I'm still trying to participate in the world. I think that can, when you try to go really off grid, I think it's admirable in some ways, but I also think it's kind of selfish. And,
Totally.
I do feel like it's important to be part of the community. And right now the community is all looking at Instagram reels. So
Yeah, that's where the people are,
yeah.
The before we get you out of here, you mentioned something at the very beginning. I just wanted to give you a moment to speak on it, which was I brought up MJ Lenderman, and you were like, "Oh, we can talk about MJ and knowing ball." And so what? There was something in the way you said that made me need to revisit it. You would destroy him, as you're saying. You would like ban for ban.
How would you take it?
Yeah, how would you? What's the move?
What I was gonna say, actually, kind of on that note, MJ, I just don't think he watches NBA as much as I do, even though I've been talking about how little I've been watching this year. I know those, like the Wednesday and Lenderman guys were fairly into like the Hornets for a while. Like they were like watching Hornets games on the road, like when I would see them. So they're ball knowers, and Jake plays, and he's pretty good.
Okay,
we've played together. But yeah,
who's his player comp?
That note,
and who's your player comp actually?
Yeah,
my player comp is Zach Randolph.
Wow,
that's what someone sent me like his highlight reel, and I was like, dude, this is you, like, because he's like kind of. I think they sent like a compilation of no dribble post moves, which is
yeah.
Well, I was gonna say is like I've been watching less basketball than ever, but playing more than I ever have. Like
awesome.
I found this is a little hidden gem for anyone who made it this far on the podcast. If you're in Ridgewood, the Ridgewood YMCA has a pretty insane court deal.
Ooh.
Its price just went up a little bit, but it's $46 a month for 3 nights a week of basketball indoor. So it's like
it's amazing.
Oh,
it's a basketball, dude. I'm gonna fucking go.
You won't find that deal anywhere in New York, I don't think. So anyway, that is 2 blocks from my house, and has made me play basketball 2 or 3 nights a week, every week.
So sick.
So my post moves I'm playing better than I ever have, even though I'm older than I've ever been before. But anyway, Jake's player comp, I feel like he was more of like a shooting guard. I guess I've only seen him play, like with me, it's been very casual. Like, when Wednesday's in town, or Lenderman, like we just happen to have some time to, like, back when he was in Wednesday.
Right.
We played like super casually with like everyone. So it's like, we're not trying to go all out or anything like that.
Right.
And then I've seen a clip of him. It was kind of a famous moment, which I feel like I've mentioned somewhere else, but like we were talking about, he played in high school on the team, and I interviewed him for the zine about this too. But like, I think one of the first times we ever hung out, he was like, yeah, I played in high school. I did hit a game-winning shot once. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, I might actually have the video somewhere. And like immediately pulled it out, like had the video ready to go. Like, you might have it handy. Like, yeah, you had this locked and loaded. So based on that clip and my experience with him, I would kind of, for some reason, I put him like a Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
That's my comp for him. Just as like a crunch time, crazy 3-point game winner.
Yep.
That's
Duncan Robinson,
that's where
maybe.
I put him.
Something like that.
Yeah, Duncan Robinson. Yeah.
It'd pair well with
he
Zebo.
makes me laugh.
Duncan.
What was that?
Yeah.
It'd pair well with the Zebo type.
Zebo, like Zach Randolph?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you guys could run you guys could.
Yeah.
You could field
yes,
a team.
pair well. Yes. We could. Brad Cook also, we played a lot when I was in North Carolina for a year, and we had like a weekly game.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard the band The Rosebuds.
Yeah.
No.
They're like a merge record band from like 2000s. North Carolina. Ivan played college ball, played with like Allen Iverson and stuff. So there's,
wow.
like I said, there's dozens of us. We could put a team together.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like I just remember now Win Butler playing in the celebrity game every year.
Yeah. I think he won the MVP one
Yeah,
of those
he was
years.
good.
We don't really associate with him anymore, but
Yeah.
he does know ball.
You
Um,
unfortunately got to hand it to him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Will, thank you for coming on.
I hope to be elevated to the status of friend of the show. I'd love to come back.
Dude,
Please.
beyond
Anytime.
friend of the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
And anything people should check out. Obviously, that they'll go to your website has tour dates and everything. But anything specific? Oh, the new zine, that one's coming out soon, right?
Yep. Should be. I'm hoping to get it out next week. So
Fuck yeah.
if you want to subscribe, I'm sorry. The monthly subscription fees hit despite me not sending the issues for a long time. But I appreciate the support. If you ever feel like throwing me some bones. Yeah. AskEnough.com. Everything's there.
Beautiful.
And you had an album come out last summer, Raspberry Moon, is great.
Yep.
I listened to it at the
Thank
gym several times yesterday.
Oh, thanks.
It's good shit. So yeah, check it out.
Right on. Thank you so much.